In this video, we're going to cover the options you have available to you in the SpeedGrader for assignments. The SpeedGrader is the main tool used by Canvas to provide feedback and grading to students. How do we access the SpeedGrader for an assignment? We open the assignment where we can see the name as well as the prompt for the assignment on all the summary information. And then on the right-hand side, we will see SpeedGrader as the top link. When we click that link, it will open up the SpeedGrader, jump to the first student, and then we can start providing them feedback. This particular assignment is one where I requested file uploads as the submission type. So I have files where I can give the students feedback directly on their file. However, I can also provide them feedback on the right-hand side. I have the grade box, and then I have a comments box where I can leave them comments, submit any file for them to review as well. If I have a separate file with a rubric and my comments, I can upload that in the comments section. So first, a review of how you control the SpeedGrader for an assignment. On the top right-hand corner, you will see the name of the current student that you have selected. And when you click the name of the student, you will see the rest of your students, and you can select another student to go to. Or you can use the left and the right arrows to the left and right of the student's name to go through the students that way. To the left of that, you will see that this is the first student out of 7. And also it's telling me that I have graded 0 out of 7 submissions. On the left-hand side, it gives me the name of the assignment as well as the links. Below that is where I have the interface for providing feedback directly on my student's file. So here I can go through the pages of this particular document that they uploaded if I need to, instead of just scrolling down. And then on to the right of that, I have a few symbols. So the first symbol is to do a selection if I need to, but the more interesting symbols are the ones to the right of that allow me to provide direct feedback in here. The first symbol is a little balloon that is used for providing comments that are directly attached to a point on the paper. So for example, I can once I click that little balloon, I have a row of different colors I can choose for my feedback. Once I choose a color, I can just click where I want the comment to point to. So let's say that I want to make a comment about their title. I'm just going to click next to their title, and then I get a box to the right where I can leave a comment, and I can say, perhaps consider a more original title. So I can leave the feedback, and now when the student reviews this, they will see this feedback attached to that portion of their essay, so they can immediately know what it's referring to, which is a lot more useful than overall comments when we're trying to really quickly assess. This can also work for any feedback for problem solving. So let's say they submitted their file with all the physics problem solving that they have done. You would want to point to a certain portion through their proof to say, oh, this is where you went awry, you used the wrong formula here, etc. You can provide that feedback, and it's pointing directly to a portion of their submission. Another useful one is the one to the right of that is for highlighting. So you could perhaps highlight a sentence or a word and provide feedback directly attached to what is being highlighted. So the student knows that this feedback is about this word or this sentence or this portion of their proof, and they can point at it directly. So for this one, I can perhaps say, perhaps choose a more specific term. So I can provide feedback directly for the highlighted portion. So when they see it, they can look at the highlighted portion, click on it, and see my comment referring to that particular word or portion of the essay. Of course, I can also write directly on top of their paper, which can work very well for certain short comments, but you can see that the one with the balloon allows you for more room to write more. But for example, I can press the big T over here, and again, I get to choose a color. I'm going to choose green just for diversity. I can also choose a background color and the size of my text right here to the right. And when I click in a place on the paper itself, I will then get a box where I can start typing with my keyboard. So I'm going to put in great job right there. So this will be on top of their paper. You can see how for more thorough on long comments, this is probably not as useful. The balloon tool is and the highlight tool are probably a lot more useful because you can write a lot more on the side of the paper than you can in the empty spaces provided on the paper. The other important tool, especially for essay feedback, is the S with a line through it. That's to the right of the big T. This one allows you to strike through. So for example, you can strike through this sentence right here and attach a comment to it. So I can say, for example, consider removing this sentence. It is redundant. So I can put in for essay, we can say, like consider taking this out or anything like that. You can even use it for their proof to strike through portions of the proof that are incorrect to give them feedback. Of course, do use the strike through a little more sparingly than the other tools because it makes it a little bit harder for the students to see what was underneath than it does, for example, when you use the balloon or the highlighting tool. They can more easily see exactly what it is that you're remarking on. The last option is free draw annotation. So if you want to draw something, then you can do so. This is a little bit more useful if you're using, for example, an iPad and using the app on your iPad, because you can handwrite something and it may make it feel more personal to the student, but you can draw anything you want. So I'm just going to draw a triangle. Again, the other place where this might be useful is if you are trying to correct a physics homework, for example. You might want to draw something for them to explain to them how they should have done the question. But again, it's a little bit more limited if you're using the mouse when you're doing free draws. But you can also put in a comment. Here is just putting a random word in here. So they will see whatever it is you draw, and you can add a comment to go along with the drawing. So this might be a lot more useful for, as I said, physics homework and things like that than perhaps essay feedback. But for essay feedback, perhaps you would like to write great job in your own handwriting on your iPad, for example, instead of just putting it in the text, like the green text we have right here. So I can go through and provide feedback throughout this particular submission that they have, and they'll be able to see all the different comments that I made directly pointing to the area that I'm giving feedback on, which can be very, very useful, and the students are able to see this. The next portion we're going to cover is on the right hand side. This information here is it gives you a little summary of their submission, and then you can enter a grade for them. So here on the left hand side is where we give feedback directly on their submission, and on the right hand side is where we give them a grade and overall comments. So first, the summary that they provide here is that they're summarizing that this was submitted on November 17 at 4:39 p.m. It also tells us the name of the file submitted. If they were allowed to submit more than once, then we could select between the different submissions. If I turn on plagiarism review, of course, this is available from here. it tells me is 9% in common with other submissions that they have on record. And then I have the grade box. For the grade, I'll just enter the grade and it will save it. So as soon as I clicked away from the box with the grade, it saves it. I don't have to click the submit button. The submit button on the right hand side here is to submit whatever comment I add in this comment box on the right. So for example, I'm going to add a great job comment over here and I can submit that. I can also choose to upload a file. So again, if you're using rubrics or other methods of writing comments or feedback, extensive feedback for the students, you might want to be able to upload that file to them so they have it as a feedback. So I'm going to do that by clicking this clip symbol to right below add a comment box. And once I click that, I get a choose file right below that box. And that's where I click and I can upload a file. And once I have chosen a file, I can also add a comment or just click submit. And now there's the file that I have attached for the student to view. So I can give them detailed feedback on their file. I can provide them a grade. I can give them comments right here. I can give them a file full of feedback or comments. I can also record a media comment, either video or audio of me talking, providing them the feedback. That's done by clicking the symbol with the play button inside of a box. And then the last button is for dictation. You can dictate to the system and it will create a text out of the audio you provide, and then you can submit that comment as well if you need to. So let's take a minute to look at what does all this feedback look like from the student's point of view. So we're going to go in as student 1. So we are currently in as student 1, and we are looking at the same assignment 2. So there are 2 different ways that the student can see the feedback they have received. So one is by going to the assignment page itself, where it summarizes the assignment and the prompt. And on the right-hand side, they have here that they submitted, when they submitted, the submission details. And notice right below that, they have their comments that I left. Great job, and that file that I uploaded as feedback for them. However, if I want as the student to see the feedback the professor provided on top of my submission file, I have to click submission details over here on the top right-hand corner. When I click that, it opens up again this page where it shows the file that they submitted and the comments on the right hand side, but there's also a link that says view feedback. When I click that, then I get to see as the student all this feedback that my professor provided. So I can see, I can click on this blue balloon and it opens up that this is the comment, and I can make this full screen so that I have no issues viewing this. And go through all these comments. So every time I click either on a drawing or a highlight or anything like that on here, the associated comment on the right hand side will open up for me as the student. I can exit the full view, and here on the left hand side they have a downward pointing arrow. That is how they can download their submission together with all your feedback. If they want to have a copy of this, it will download a PDF of this submission with all your comments attached to everything as well. The other method that the students can get to this is if they go to their grades section, and then we're looking here at assignment 2 right here. This is what grades look like for the student. We can see that we have to the right of the maximum points, we have little chat balloon icon that represents that there are comments on this particular submission. So when we click those, we can see the comments I entered on the right hand side, including that file that I uploaded for them. But if I want to see the actual feedback that I put in with the highlights and all of that. I have to click the name of the assignment. When I do, it takes me to this view that we've been to before with the comments on the right and the view feedback link. Well, again, when they click that, it opens up the feedback and they can even go full screen to see this. So this is how the students themselves go to see this detailed feedback on top of their submission.